Hi everyone, I'm Victoria and welcome back. So, this week's Random Video Wednesday, we're going to be taking a look at the 10 mansions no one wants to buy for any price. Which is stupid, but we'll figure out why. I thought of this idea because I saw a whole bunch of luxury home videos and I was like, I wonder. And this is one of the videos that popped up, and I figured I might as well do a video on it. So let's go ahead and get started, shall we?
But your budget is limited. Very, very, very limited.
Very
Well, good
limited, like
news. There
free,
are mansions out there that
please.
could be yours for as little as $1. But a
Really?
deal that seems too good to be true tends to come with a catch or
Yeah.
consequence. Let's take a look at 10 mansions no one seems to want to buy at any price.
Real quick, I just want to say I will live in a house that seems to be haunted just because I want to live in a house that seems to be haunted. I love taking risks, and that would be taking a risk. So they really gotta make me not want it
1.
for
Former
this.
mayor's house in Jordan, Minnesota. Many of the
Okay.
entries on this list have had trouble selling because they're downright spooky, but this first house is not one of those haunted mansions. This one remains on the housing market for a much more earthly problem. The 4-bedroom mansion, formerly the home of the first female mayor of Jordan,
Okay.
Minnesota, is zoned incorrectly and needs to be moved. It has no parking and no hookup to the town's water and sewage system. And to make matters worse, while the outside looks lovely, the inside is more than a little out of style. That's how the house ended up with its unusual price tag. It's
That's
free.
fine.
The current owner, the granddaughter of former Mayor Gail Anderson, said in an interview that it's going to cost $50,000 to move it and $150,000 to fix it up. So I'm not giving.
Why would you need to fix it up? I like it the way it is. I would have just been fine, but $50,000 to move it, that's not too bad. Like, although I will say this, it's much harder to fix, or not fix, but to move a house than it is anything else. So,
Giving away some hidden gem. No, indeed. But free is still
yeah,
pretty cheap
see,
for a
I'd be
house of
fine with
this
that.
size
Just
and
paint the
historical
walls.
interest, even if it does come with some fairly significant catches. 2. The S.K. Pierce Mansion. This
Ooh,
beautiful
pretty.
Victorian home is located in Gardner, Massachusetts, in a
Okay.
tiny part of New England, yet it never seems to sell for market price.
I love
Why?
it.
Because it's considered one of the most haunted places in America.
uh, that seems like a. So you want me to buy the house? Because, that doesn't matter for me. I will be perfectly okay with that. Me and the ghost have a great time. I'd love it.
Built by wealthy businessman Sylvester Pierce in the late
Nice.
1800s, this nearly 7,000 square foot mansion was built as a dream
pretty.
home for the furniture magnate, his wife, and son.
I love it.
Unfortunately, shortly after they moved in, his wife succumbed to a mysterious bacterial illness. Pierce remarried
Bacterial illness. You sure it wasn't mold?
and had 2 other sons, but
Or
then passed away
asbestos?
himself soon after in 1888. Over the years,
Asbestos.
his second wife too passed away, the family fortune was frittered away, and the 3 sons began to fight. The son who took control of the house turned it into a boarding house, and from
Okay.
there, rumors abound that a prostitute was strangled to death in the famous Red Bedroom. A Finnish
Nice.
immigrant burned to death in the master bedroom. Some believe having spontaneously combusted, that a young child was drowned in the basement, and the list goes on.
Did he just say that some people claim that they have spontaneously combusted? I don't know if you'd be alive.
Residents and visitors to the house have reported cold air, foul smells, apparitions, voices, chanting, and objects being moved or even tossed across rooms.
Nothing. Hey, if they can hit me with a glass bottle, you know what? Kudos on them. kudos on them. I'd give them a ticket to a sporting event like baseball or softball and say, yo, it's your calling, man.
The home has been visited by TV shows including My Ghost Story, Ghost
Cool.
Adventure, and Ghost
Nice.
Hunters. So perhaps it's
Love
no
them.
surprise that the only people who wanted the old mansion were not, in fact, residents, but a group called Dark Carnival that has made the home open to the public.
Oh,
It's now a
nice.
haunted mansion that contains a haunted house complete with actors and illusions, if you're brave
Nice.
enough to go inside.
Oh, I am more than brave enough to go inside. Let's go. I'll take it.
New Jersey's Aubrey Lewis House. Take a
Cool.
look at this Montclair,
What's-
New Jersey home. Big and beautiful, right?
It's so pretty.
Well, it was on the market for just $10,
Where's my wallet? I'll take it.
and no one bought it. Why?
So,
This house too came with a pretty big drawback.
okay.
Not only did it need to be moved, but it couldn't be moved more than a quarter mile because of its historical significance. It was previously home to
Okay. So, why move the house? Okay. So, the house has to be moved, but you can't move it outside of residency. So, you can move it this way. That's about it. Why move it?
Aubrey Lewis, an All-American athlete and one of the
Yeah.
first Black Americans to work for the FBI and to become an
Woo!
executive at a Fortune 100 company. 3 significant achievements individually, let alone altogether. So a prospective
him.
buyer would have needed both to want the house and to live in the neighborhood.
Yeah.
Unfortunately, no one came forward who was willing to make the move happen, even after the developers who bought the lot offered $10,000 toward the cost of moving the beautiful old house.
Nice.
In the end, the town's Historic Preservation Commission lost out, and the historic mansion was demolished. No one wanted it,
no,
even
I'll
for
take
just
it.
$10.
I'll take it. Wait, why does it have to be moved? Like, they didn't explain that. Why does it have to be moved? There's no reason for it to move. Why can't it just stay?
4. Practically free homes in European ghost towns. If
Hey,
you're
I'll
looking
take
to
it.
live in a big house in a place with a shrinking population, you're in luck.
Eh.
Italy and England both have programs that'll sell you a home for €1
Hey, I know some Italian. I'll go to Italy. Second language, guys. Man, I love it.
or £1 British pound, as long as you're willing to live at least 5 years in the tiny communities where the abandoned homes are based.
I'll do
These
it.
slightly more than $1 homes are, by and large, fixer-uppers in small towns with dwindling populations that their respective nations are hoping to revive, by luring national and international buyers to purchase the big, beautiful, but broken down buildings for very, very cheap. While some people have been tempted and have undertaken the work of fixing these houses up and moving in, there are still many more homes in towns across the United Kingdom and Italy that are standing empty and ready to be purchased, for less than the price of a cup of Starbucks coffee. While the idea
I'll
sounds
take it.
romantic, it is, in reality, a challenging project to undertake, and the requirement to continue living in the home for 5 years after the purchase has probably kept many who might be interested at bay. It's only fair to be nervous about committing to moving to a new small town long term.
Yeah, I can see that one. I can see why committing for 5 years would be a lot, especially if you're not from Italy or the UK. Like here in America, going to Italy or the UK and knowing you're going to spend 5 years there and have to spend 5 years there, and not knowing much about them. Now, obviously, you know, some people, this is perfectly fine because they're used to it, they're around it. But as far as like those who know absolutely nothing about the UK or nothing about Italy, yeah, that's a pretty big commitment, and a lot of people are willing to do that, especially if their family is somewhere else. So
5. The Auerbacher Mansion in Kentucky. Another
Ah,
$1
something
house. This Kentucky
take it.
mansion sold for $1
That's
and then was
nice.
given back to the city. then sold for just $1 again. This
Nice.
historic Kentucky mansion's problem isn't just that it's dilapidated, rumor has it that it's haunted. The spooky Romanesque style home was
Really?
built in the late 1800s for a coffee merchant. It eventually
Okay.
became the offices for a tax business, then it was taken over by the city because of, ironically enough, unpaid taxes.
I'm sorry. It was taken over by a tax company, and the tax company didn't pay taxes on the house. Seriously? What kind of tax company are you?
The beautiful old mansion was allowed to crumble as developers tried to fix it up and failed, and it gained a
Okay.
look fitting the ghostly rumors that surrounded it, like that of a little boy seen staring out the window. Today, however,
Me and that little boy, we gonna get along. Throw a baseball. There you go.
it has reportedly been turned
I
into
like
apartments, but there were many years when no one wanted it, even for
I'll
$1.
take it.
6. Tillamook Island Lighthouse. Another large abode
Gotcha.
that couldn't be sold to a normal homeowner at any price is the Tillamook Island Lighthouse of Oregon, and
I
it
mean,
came
that
with its
looks
own
nice.
island. This abandoned lighthouse took years and years to find a buyer, and only ultimately was sold to someone who wanted to turn it into a columbarium, a building filled with funeral urns. Why was no one interested?
I'm sorry. So now this beautiful house on a giant hill now has dead bodies and stuff all in it. Cool.
In purchasing a private island in Oregon?
I would
Well,
like to be
the
buried
island's
there.
nickname is Terrible Tilly, and
Why?
it has a history littered with tales of death and hauntings. It has been,
Fair.
historically, almost impossible to safely visit, and it's said that the Native
I can see that. It's like Alcatraz. There's a lot going on around it and around in the waters. It's really hard to get to places like this and survive. I remember hearing of a story long ago of some guys who who came to a lighthouse. I think it was like I want to say it was St. Augustine Lighthouse in Florida, but I'm probably wrong. I know it was a lighthouse, that's all I got. But in order to get there, they died and all this other stuff. So I can see something like this having a lot of death surrounding it.
Americans from the area long believed that the rocky island was haunted by evil spirits.
I don't
The
know if that
lighthouse
was
was
it.
constructed in 1881 with the aim
Uh-huh.
of preventing ships from crashing into the rock. Unfortunately,
Fair.
the lamp was not lit in time to save the Lupadia, a boat that crashed against the rock 2 weeks before the lighthouse was completed and which lost all 16 souls aboard. The
Ooh.
columbarium was constructed there in the 1980s, but today has lost its license and is seeking buyers to aid with the cost of restoring it.
I'll take it. I'll live there. The only issue is I can't swim, so I'll drown if I fall in the water. So I would take it if I could swim.
It's hard to imagine paying any price, however, to own part of a rock so closely partnered with death itself.
Yeah, really.
7. Georgian revival homes for a grand. What if I told you could have the 7-bedroom, 5-bathroom home for just $1,000? Pretty sweet deal, right?
I need it.
The only catch is that the inside is a little bit of a fixer-upper. Or, in the words of the Huffington Post, the home will need extensive and costly work done to make it livable.
You don't understand my will to live. I will live in nothing. Yes, I'm surrounded by house. Yes, I have a computer that I built. I have a YouTube channel. But if I could live in a mansion for $1,000 and all it needs is a little fixer-upper, or even if I can walk on the stairs, good enough for me. I can live. I can sleep. I got blankets. I can be warm. I don't need air conditioning. That's what we have wind for. It's fine.
Following review. How is it possible? These dilapidated houses, of which there are many, are massive old homes,
like that.
once opulent mansions, in
That's
abandoned
fine. I
areas
can
of
do that.
Detroit. This Georgian Revival home, for example, is about 4,200 square feet and has a whopping 69 windows. Sure,
Cool.
many of these homes need extensive repairs to their electrical and
Ugh.
plumbing systems, and when you're done, you'll live
Who needs electrical and plumbing? I don't need electrical, maybe plumbing. And I can dig a hole. It's fine.
in a largely abandoned part of Detroit, but you'll be living like you're Henry Ford, and in his old neighborhood at that. The houses are regularly auctioned off.
See, I am perfectly okay. I can walk up and down those stairs. I'm fine. That window seal right there, yeah. It looks like I can sleep on it.
By building
It's good.
Detroit with bidding starting at $1,000.
I'll take it.
The home prices are kept so low because the city is prioritizing the rebuilding and repopulating of Detroit over making big money on the sale of these massive old homes.
Is it sad that what would make me turn away is that it would be in Detroit, Colorado? Or Detroit? No. Detroit, Michigan. Wow, I don't know my cities anymore. Anyway, is that it would be in Detroit, whereas not how it looks or what it is, but where it's located.
Besides, you'll need that money
Detroit's
to
not
overhaul
that
the
bad,
insides
I
because
know.
these mansions might be cheap to buy, but they are in rough shape. 8.
Eh.
The Hex House.
Your house is named the Hex House. I think I know why this one's on the market.
Another house with a chilling past, the Raymeyer Hex House in Stewartstown, Pennsylvania, belonged to Nelson Raymeyer, a traditional healer known locally as a powwow doctor, meaning he practiced faith healing and witchcraft traditions brought
Faith healing? Yeah, that's witchcraft.
over by Pennsylvania Dutch settlers from Germany. Raymeyer
That's what
lived in the
they would
house
call
until
voodoo witches
1928,
and stuff.
when a man named John H. Blymeyer, also a witch, who believed he had been hexed by Raymeyer, came to his house with 2 accomplices to demand the hex be undone. When Raymeyer refused, the 3 men
Hey, if I thought someone put a hex on me, I'd want it to be reversed too, so I can't blame them
beat
there.
him to death in his home. They then set the home on fire, but the house didn't burn, which locals took to be a further sign of Raymeyer's occult capabilities. The house still belongs to descendants of Nelson Raymeyer, and they briefly opened it to the public in 2007.
Cool.
However, they mysteriously stopped letting people in, and today, the house
Was it because it was like, were people abusing it? Like, destroying it and stuff? Because I can see that being a reason they just mysteriously
seems
stopped.
to be abandoned and is merely a stop on the town's annual haunted hayrides. What happened
Nice.
that made them suddenly shutter the house's doors and windows? We may never know, but we do know that no one seems to want to live in this house, even
I'll
the
take
people
it.
that own it. 9. North Carolina.
So I live in North Carolina. I know about this house. It's oddly strange, but I can't afford to live or move to where this house is located.
Carolina's William T. Smith House. Our next house is the William T. Smith House, an abandoned mansion in North Carolina.
Mhm.
This 4,000 square foot house, built as a plantation around 1835, sits on 2 acres of land, right next to a Civil War cemetery.
Oh yeah, it's huge. And yes, it is right next to a cemetery, which is right up my alley. But I can't afford to move all the way here. I live in a very different part of North Carolina, so I wouldn't be able to go and live here and still live around my family and live and do what I do on a daily basis, basically.
Which makes
Unfortunately.
sense, because the house and surrounding area were used as a field hospital during the
Yeah.
American Civil War. specifically around the Battle of Averasporo. Perhaps the creepy combination of plantation and field hospital have kept buyers away, as
So, just in general, North and South Carolina during the Civil War, they were very, very much some of the places that took the hardest hit when it came to the Civil War, just because there was a lot of people who were debating between whether or not which side they were on, and then once it came to a decision, some people were still not wanting to be on the side that it was on. So there's just a lot of history with North South Carolina, even, Virginia and all those other now states. But at this time, there was a lot of bad stuff that happened, and a lot of bad stuff that happened where this is actually located. And it's a very sad place and very not good of a place to be in around. But it is something I wouldn't mind living in. But that's just me. Most other people probably near this area would not.
as it's currently listed at just $60,000 after being abandoned some time ago and has been listed on the market for quite some time.
Yeah.
But there are upsides to buying this old, spooky mansion. You could get a historic preservation tax credit for fixing it up.
Yep.
Besides, who wouldn't want to live next to a cemetery?
Me, I wouldn't mind.
At least the neighbors are quiet. Usually 10.
Nice. At least the neighbors are quiet, usually.
The Amityville Horror House.
Yes. Okay. So I'm a big horror buff. I love the Amityville horror stuff. Absolutely love it. I love the movies. I love hearing about it. I love, all the stuff surrounding it, including, even some of the stuff outside of Amityville when you get into the Conjuring movies and stuff like that. But basically the lore around it and stuff like that is what interests me the most and what I like the most. It's crazy what happened and all the stuff that happened around it.
When it
I'm
comes
not
to
surprised this is
spine-tingling
on the
homes, the site of the
list.
Amityville Horror has to be at the top of the list. The Long
Yeah.
Island home where 5 people were murdered in 1974, and which has since regularly been the topic of scary books and movies, has historically had a hard time selling for market price.
I wonder why. Could it be the publicity of the haunting?
And it's no surprise, since visitors and residents have reported oozing walls, levitations, and demonic happenings in the home. Surprisingly, someone
This is the one house I would not live in. I don't deal with any of that demonic crap. Ghost, sure. Cemetery, sure. Demonic, nah, I'm
was
good.
willing to buy the house in 2017 for just $200,000 less than the original asking price.
Nice.
We'll have to wait and see whether or not they end up writing a book about the experience. And there you have
Okay. So most of those houses I probably would have bought, other than the one where it's surrounded by water, because I drown, and the Amityville house. Just because demonic, no, I'm good. Ghost, sure, fine, I'll take it. Demonic, no. That one I'm not actually surprised it was on the list, which is crazy. But I figured it was famous, so people would, buy it, but I guess not. Anyway, that is Tin Mansion. No one wants to buy at any price, and a lot of them are understandable. Some of them are like, yeah, if I lived there, I'd totally take it. Just because most of them, it seemed like they were just fixer-uppers or they needed to move, one of the two. So I definitely would have taken it. But anyway, have a great and wonderful day, as always. Bye!